The person who invented the sewing machine is truly a genius. In 1755, a man named Charles felt that hand sewing was too tedious. He invented a needle with sharp tips at both ends and moved the eye to the bottom of the needle. This eliminated the need to repeatedly flip the needle. However, a new problem emerged. While the needle could pass through the fabric, the thread would also pull out when the needle was removed. The solution to this problem was relatively simple. As the needle passed through the fabric, a small loop of thread could be left underneath. When the needle descended for the next stitch, it would pass through this loop, forming a chain. Repeating this process created a continuous stitch pattern, known as chain stitching, which became one of the earliest sewing machine techniques. But how could a machine hold the loop underneath? In 1857, two mechanisms emerged to address this issue. Hook mechanism. A hook was added below the machine. When the needle penetrated the fabric and carried the thread downward, the thread shortened as the needle ascended, creating a small loop. At this precise moment, the sharp hook would catch the loop and pull it into a larger thread circle. When the needle descended again, the hook moved backward, allowing the needle to pass through the loop. As the needle rose, the thread bent again, and the process repeated. Rotary hook mechanism. Similar in principle, this design featured a rotating hook instead of a stationary one. This rotary hook mechanism was later adopted in over 80 different sewing machine models. Despite these advancements, another issue arose. The chain stitching method had a flaw. If a single stitch loosened, the entire thread line could unravel easily. To address this, a second thread was added underneath the machine, connected to a shuttle. When the needle pierced the fabric, the shuttle would simultaneously pass through the loop of the first thread, intertwining the two threads. As the needle retracted, it formed a lock stitch, preventing unraveling. This method was further improved by replacing the shuttle with a rotating bobbin. The bobbin's rotation created the lock stitch, which became the foundation of modern sewing techniques. By this stage, the sewing machine's core stitching mechanisms were complete. However, one issue remained. How could the fabric move on its own during sewing? We'll explain this in the next episode.